I know in front, we've talked a lot, you know, and by the way, your book is just fantastic.
The Good
Karma
Divorce.
Divorce. It's a fantastic book, and everybody should read it. And actually, I think we're going to be doing an IICLE course that's somewhat based on it, right?
October 11th.
Yeah. So we're very excited about that. This is a very, very good book in terms of really looking at the humanity of what people suffer through as they're going through divorce. And really...
Any court case, really.
Any court case, right.
Or life.
And how it can, for the most part, how it can disrupt their lives forever. You know, it can be emotional things that these people are going to carry on forever. You know, one of the things that I know this goes on in the courtroom, it surprises me that it happens, but why don't we talk a little bit about this, because we are talking about civility. Some of these lawyers will come in and they will personally make attacks. They will attack the other lawyer. They will attack the other side in a personal manner. And you see that happening.
And it's wrong on so many levels. First of all, people think that maybe their clients like it. Well, their clients want to feel protected, but when there's personal attacks between the lawyers, it's like going in for surgery and having your doctor working with dirty scalpel. It's very unnerving. That's number one. And people feel that that starts a cycle. When you talk about people's lives being really, really hurt in the long run, one of the things that can really hurt your clients is a personally attacked, vigorously nasty divorce or litigation. These are things people tend to never get over. And although the lawyer might think that it's some personal, oh, got you moment, that got you moment may be the one thing that their client puts a stake in their heart that they can't get out. It's bad in terms of the judges too, because we think much less when there's personal attacks. I don't like it when lawyers interrupt each other. I will tell people that in terms, that's almost contemptible behavior. I run a, you know.
How about when they interrupt the judge? Did they do that?
Well,
even?
we're getting to that one. You don't want to do that because the judge is trying to problem solve. We don't have an agenda for either side. We have our own. You got to remember, the judge has their own agenda, and that's to figure out what to do. So when the judge starts talking, or when the judge starts asking questions, the judge is right in the middle of trying to figure out what information they need, trying to make a point they need. When you derail that, then the judge has to start all over again, try and figure out what point they're making, why they're sustaining an objection. When the judge sustains an objection, both lawyers should say, thank you, and sit down. If you want to be heard some more, you can say, may I be heard on one more point, Judge? Never come up to the bench without permission. Say, may I approach? A lot of lawyers like to get right up in the judge's face because they think it's intimidating. I think it's terrible form. And the lawyers should say, may I approach? When you say things like that, then the judge knows that you know what protocol is.
Right. It's funny because, you know, you have such a unique way of looking. I mean, you see that these personal attacks can have ramifications for years. You see that even when the lawyers get involved in this, that they have emotional ramifications to these things as well. I mean, by the end of a lot of these divorces, everybody hates the lawyer too. There's a lot of money involved.
There's a natural antipathy. Because, and that's a whole other thing, and I'm going to cover that in the
divorce,
Good Karma
right.
Divorce seminar, because it's really important to not go away with hatred, even if it's just if you've offloaded it onto your lawyer, the lawyers feel unappreciated, and it's a bad cycle, which I think can really be managed.
Right.
But I want to say one more thing about negotiation.
Okay.
And negotiation in terms of what the judge knows. So we're talking about pretrial conferences and attempts to settle the case. When you negotiate, it's really important to negotiate in good faith. For example, if somebody gives you something you want and you've asked for, and then you turn around and say, well, let me see if my client will take it, and you've asked for it, or if you ask for more on the third level of negotiation, That's highly unadvisable, because then it makes people very insecure about saying yes, because the yes looks like a stepping stone to yet yielding another concession. So I believe whenever possible, and with divorce litigants, it's a little more difficult because they think of things, but whenever possible, lay out the whole list in front. Don't add on as you go.
Right. You know, we talked a little bit, this kind of gets into the personal attack realm, but what should lawyers do to try to avoid, you know, for the most part, undermining the situation by cheap shotting, by giving cheap shots in the courtroom? I mean, I'm sure you see that happening in the courtroom as well.
I see it all the time.
Right.
I don't allow it in my courtroom, but you know, it happens.
Right.
And it happens because it has become the norm. I don't know when the world turned into a place where this was going to be okay and lawyers would start to emulate this. But that's a lot of self-reflection. Who do you want to be in this world? Do you want to be strong, classy, courageous lawyer, intelligent, playing from the top of the deck? Or is all the skills you have and the ones you've practiced the cheap shot that makes everybody feel bad about what they're doing? I don't know when this ever became acceptable, but I believe that we have to change the trend. In order to navigate into new land, we have to use different stars. And it's got to be time when everybody, you look at people who go through divorce or litigation, and after it's over, they're talking about it for years. Nobody's proud that their lawyers took deep shots. The only thing they remember is that they had this horrendous time. And that makes it, the cheap shots make it all the worse, because, especially in domestic, the families have to live together for years to come. The lawyers are long gone. As lawyers, you don't want to be remembered for that.
Right. Well, what a fantastic conversation this morning. I can't thank you enough for coming in. And
thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure having you. You know, you're one of our heroes here at IICLE. We are honored always to have you speak for us and to us. And I'm really looking forward to this Good Karma Divorce course as well. And I can't tell you enough how happy we are that you're going to be doing that for us, because I feel a lot the same that you do. I wonder what happened to civility in the world sometimes. You know, I wonder, even going back to the soccer dads and the arguing on the, you know, being competitive in childish games, and how that has kind of intrinsically gotten into our psyche. And now I think what you're trying to say is, it's time to be introspective. It's time to understand who you are as a person. It's time to approach your life with dignity, because that's who you want to be and that's how you want to be remembered.
Well, if you're not one day, if you live a lawyer's life or your life in general, and you've played from the bottom of the deck and you've been nasty, one day you wake up years later and you look in the mirror and you don't know who you are and you don't like what you see and you don't know how you got there.